Well, everyone leaves happy tonight. Welcome to the POSTCAST. The Utah Jazz defeat the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns want the Jazz to knock the Lakers out of the playoffs, so they get their lottery pick. We want to knock the Lakers out of the playoffs because we want to go to the playoffs. Because Ron likes me so much, he wants to spend more time with me. I don't get paid extra. Do you get paid extra if we make the playoffs?
No.
So you just do it because it's just because you like me?
I love the playoffs.
Yeah, I like the playoffs too.
Yeah.
All right. How truthful should I be with you right now? We're doing POSTCAST where we're supposed to recap the game. I have almost nothing for you tonight. This is about as nondescript a basketball game as we have played all season. The Jazz took the lead by 11 at the end of one. They led by 9 at the half. They were the better team all night. Phoenix wasn't playing Goran Dragic. It got down to 4, and you got nervous for about a blink of an eye, and then the Jazz won a 10-0 run. I mean, this game wasn't quite Harlem Globetrotters Washington Generals, but it wasn't that far off it either.
Well, still, it was a ball game that they had to win, and you're absolutely right. You asked me that question earlier. I have nothing to add to that other than the fact that they had to win this basketball game and worry about the next one, that's for sure. 30 assists, okay, they moved the basketball. The pace of play, okay, they've been doing that for the last 3 ball games, and when they do that, they're a much better basketball team. But other than that, it was probably just a whole hum game, just like you just mentioned.
Okay, so let's take I'll take 3 takeaways and let you build off them tonight, because if I had 3. 1, Al Jefferson, I don't think to his own fault, just I think the way things were going, had not scored 20 points in 10 straight games, which was the longest run of his NBA career. I don't think it was necessarily, he was off a little, but tonight he got 25, and frankly, we got to have Al. I mean, last March, Al was a dominating player. Last March, if you look at Jefferson, he averaged 21 points a game and shot 53% and carried us to the playoffs. This year, it's 14 points a game and 44%. He should beat this team up. He did. It's nice to see him. Hopefully that gets him rolling a little bit.
Well, 2 things here, maybe 3, because Al was struggling there for a little bit, and then they started, and the fact that the Jazz was playing off of him so much that the defense started gearing to stop him. And he wasn't recognizing what the defense was doing, wasn't giving up the basketball. Now, to add to that, the pace of play started to change. That takes the ball out of his hands there as well, because now the Jazz starting to look and score in transition more. But just listening to Gordon and the way the game was played, this was one of the ball games where they wanted to feed off of him and play off of him, and so that's probably the reason he had such a big night.
Well, so that's the next thing I was going to say. Is Spence asked me right before the game, what's the one thing you want tonight? I said, I really want Gordon to have a nice night. Tyrone has worked very, very hard to try to put the ball in Gordon's hands and make him make plays. And sometimes it's gone really well, and sometimes on the biggest play of the night, Manu Ginobili strips the ball right out of his hands, and it goes the other way for a layup, and Tyrone thinks to himself, is he ready?
Yeah.
Tonight, against an inferior opponent, I thought it was really important that he had a big night with the ball in his hands. He conducted almost the entire offense in the second half, at least from what I saw. Mo had a nice little pick-and-roll stretch for a while, but I think that might have been back in the second quarter. And for most of the second half, it was Gordon in charge, and he's got to have nights like this against inferior teams.
Okay, so if you ask yourself that question, is that if he doesn't have a night like this against a team that you say is inferior, then when is he going to be ready?
Right.
So you have good nights like this, then you say, okay, he's ready. Let's do it against some good opponents. He's done it against some quality opponents. He just made some mistakes during that time. So that's the transition you make, becoming a good player into a great player.
Like doing it against Chicago or Kawhi Leonard are 2 different things than this, but you have to start somewhere. So that's
absolutely.
And then the last one, these last 2 things might be actually pretty darn important, even in a game in which the Jazz kind of rolled kind of nondescriptly. Is Derek Favors' first half we don't very often say guys are not very good, and we said he was not very good. He got 2 turnovers right away. Ty, I thought, did a nice job with Derek there, where he could have pulled him with 2 fouls a minute and 10 seconds into his stint. He then kind of looked unnerved by it for a while. He came out in the second half. Not only did he rebound like a beast, he had 13 rebounds. He changed the way the Jazz were defending. That's why I got to play the entire fourth quarter. But more importantly, you saw him alter the way he was going to the basket.
Yeah, and that's a learning process. Okay, I picked up a couple of fouls trying to go through guys. Now I'll be a little more careful, a little more under control, and maybe take that little 5-foot shot. I mean, that's a high percentage shot. Sometimes you try to get all the way to the basket because a layup is better or it's easier to shoot than maybe that 5 or 8 footer. But those are the things that he has to learn. The other thing is catching the basketball on the low block with his back to the basket. You saw him make a couple of really nice passes now because he's looking especially when that double team comes. He's just not trying to go one-on-one. I mean, he is really learning. But I think one important thing that you just mentioned that Coach Corbin did, he left him in the ballgame when he made those two mistakes. And a player has in his mind that if I make a couple of mistakes, I'm going to come out of the ballgame. I'll throw the ball away a couple of times. He's going to take me out. That type of thing. And that kind of screws up your ball, screws up the flow or the way you want to play.
Derek finished with 9 points, 13 rebounds, and assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks. He does have 5 turnovers. And quite honestly, the turnovers are a problem. I don't have it in front of me. I think he has about 15 in the last 4 games. That's an awful lot of turnovers. So but you know what? As you learn, turnovers actually, this is a very funny concept, but turnovers are a good thing for young players. Cantor had the problem too, because eventually you learn, and then those turnovers become plays. The more troublesome is the player that puts up a bunch of zeros across his board that's doing nothing. That's never going to get better. So it's the problem right now, but it's a fixable one, and it's a good sign.
Well, just like you fixed yourself with your back to the basket as far as looking for cutters, recognizing where the defense is coming from, you can do that with turnovers there as well. You start to be a little bit more careful, and then you realize you don't have to make a spectacular play every time. You don't have to block every shot. You can alter shots. I mean, those things come with growth and experience, and this is the reason you see so many guys. Jermaine O'Neal, this is his 17th year in the league. There's a reason he stayed in this league so long, because he found how to play in this league, and he's been able to survive.
And he's made about $150 million.
Yeah.
Enes Kanter is out, dislocated shoulder. What's going to be, and it probably could be for the season. We don't know that for a fact, but logic says you dislocate your shoulder, you're not playing anytime soon. Never know with Enes. But what's your thoughts on the impact of this?
Well, the impact is going to really hurt because he was our power player. Al is good and strong with his back to the basket, but Kanter is he's that energy player. He's that game changer with offensive rebounds, and he's that player that could come in the ball game and play 13, 14, 15 minutes, and he makes an impact in the paint. The Jazz are going to miss that. Now, Coach Corbin's going to have some decisions to make, and maybe a problem here on how to play guys and when to play guys together. Paul Millsap only got 23 minutes tonight, and not sure if he's hurt or he just wanted to give Favors more time because he got in foul trouble or, for whatever reason. But
I'll tell you why. They scored 27 points in the third quarter.
Yeah, maybe that was the reason, but that was his choice.
There's my explanation. I don't know if I'm right or not, but and how about when you're done explaining that foul call to Kevin O'Connor, you can go ask Ty for me if that's why.
Okay.
Thanks. Appreciate it. You're like a legend. You can ask whatever you want. I ask those questions, I'll get in trouble. Have a good night, everybody.